Let's do it. Alrighty, here we go. My name is Marty Fox from WHITEFOX. Now, here's the deal. All right, welcome to another episode of With the Fox. We've got the man himself, Daniel Daggers, the star of Buying London. Huge success on Netflix. In the top 10 for how many countries now?
55.
55 countries, and we've been friends online for about 6-7 years now, which we'll talk about.
Wow.
But welcome to With the Fox, and thanks for having us in your office.
No, thanks. I mean, like, you've come all this way. It's the least that I could do, isn't it?
Well, the coffee's hot, so
I love that. The coffee's hot. Yeah, the coffee's decent.
And we were talking just before about, the overnight success of Daniel Daggers and how people just say, oh, it's just social. Take me back to how you actually got into real estate in the first place. How old were you? What were you doing at the time before you started?
So I was a 17-year-old, or 17 and a half, nearly 18, and I was at school. I did really poorly. I didn't qualify to go to university like all my other friends. I did a year's course in business studies, which is when the light was turned on. Part of that course was to go and spend 2 weeks at work experience somewhere. So we found a local estate agent in West London, and I licked a lot of
envelopes.
A lot of envelopes. Yeah, I licked a lot of envelopes. Did a lot of printing. Put some things through doors. Carried keys. Did all the boring stuff. Did it so well that
I called schlepping. That's
yeah,
what I did.
Exactly right. That's exactly what you do. And then you sort of pick things up, but you don't learn an awful lot. But you do pick things up. And then and I did so well with the licking that they gave me a £50 bonus at the end, and I went back to finish my course. Did that. Wanted to be a professional footballer. Wasn't good enough.
So you're good on your toes.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah, I was a good player. Yeah, but I wasn't good enough. And I broke my collarbone playing football with my mates, lost the contract, went to study surveying with my arm in a sling. Surveying is so bloody boring. So I was like, no, I'm not having any of this. And then I said to my parents, listen, I need to get a job. So I applied for a job at, I can't remember what it was now, but some sports retailer, just shop floor retailer. Didn't get it. I thought to myself, are you serious? Come on, I want to work. And then I got a phone call from the estate agency to say, hey, do you want a job here permanently? Because we've just lost one of our estate agents. And I said, yeah. So in 1997, late 97, I started working. And that was it.
So how old were you at the time?
I was 17, nearly 18.
Okay, so literally straight out of school, pretty much property's been your thing.
And I knew nothing about nothing.
Yeah. And where were you raised?
Raised around the corner. I do think it's much easier when you're living near work.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of value add, right? So
it's a bit of a life hack.
Yeah.
If you live near work and you're able to walk and communicate with locals,
correct,
experience all the things around that,
Yep.
It's that networking. I was always a network agent. So
Yep.
people said, how did you do so well so young? And I said it was because I would list in a cafe. I would list walking down the street. I wasn't doing the traditional methods of prospecting as a 21-year-old in real estate. And I'd say that you were quite similar.
I think the way I look at working, no, for the first 10 years, no, not at all, because the way the industry works here is that you work in an estate agency and people come to the estate agency business and then you get fed instructions and people call up and then you'll go out and do viewings and do deals, hopefully, right? So the first 10 years, no. The reason why it was a bit of a hack is that when you're young and you don't have any accreditations, people just don't believe in you. You failed so much when you're a 17-year-old, right? I failed at loads of things. Everything at school I failed at. Mm-hmm. I was all of a sudden in a place where I had nothing to sell, very humble. What was I offering? I was offering some efficiencies, which I figured out, like I'll pick you up and take you to show you properties. I'll buy you a coffee. I'll make it an enjoyable experience. I can tell you about the local neighbourhood. I can tell you what park to go to, what you send your kids to, what schools are good and all that, because I knew the intimate information. I knew who the local chemist was, Sunil. He was a great guy. Would you like me to put you in touch with him? That was value add, because I had no information to enable me to stand out, right? And I did that for 10 years.
And I've said that to agents a lot, that your pitch to bring clients on is constantly evolving. So when you're young, you're pitching that you're giving a great level of service, you're doing things that the directors won't do or can't do. They don't have the time.
Yeah.
So you're actually getting business because you're saying that you're hungrier. Because if you're not successful on their property, you're not going to be successful within your career. And then as you grow, that changes. I mean, are you still doing those things anymore? Probably not. But the next Daniel Daggers is. So that it's always evolving.
Yeah, your sales pitch is different. Firstly, you have to build a reputation that then attracts clients to you. And so when you get the phone say, hey, I'd like you to come in, bearing in mind our industry here in the UK is all about offices and corporate brand, and it's not about individuals. When I get a phone call, I know that they want me. They want my service.
So you fast forward to breaking away from Knight Frank.
No, that was a small independent business called Vickers & Co.
Okay, so Vickers & Co was
tiny
the start.
business, like 7 people in it. I was sat there earwigging the whole time.
Yeah.
I didn't go out and list for 3 years. And then I was losing opportunities because other agents were selling to their own buyers without me even knowing about the property.
Okay.
Right? So then I realized at like 20 that I needed to go out and list. But at the time going out and listing was like, it was 2000. Yeah, it was probably the year 2000. We didn't have floor plans and comparable evidence and data-driven insight and all that sort of stuff. So you'd walk in and you'd go, well, it feels a little bit
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But thankfully, I remember my first ever pitch. I was sat in my blue Vauxhall Corsa on Sutherland Avenue, about to go in for my first pitch. And it's petrifying because when you're young, what you don't want to do when you're employed by somebody, because I was getting a salary of £7,000 a year at the time, and then commission on top. What you don't want to do is go into a listing presentation or whatever you call it in Australia and lose it.
Correct.
You work for a small business. The last thing you want is to lose it, right? Then they're concerned about whether or not you can deliver the service and you can actually win instructions. And so like you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And I don't think the boss knew that I was going out to do that. So I went to see this apartment and they gave it to me. And that was it. The ball started rolling.
Penny dropped.
Penny dropped. You just build confidence. You fail. You then get more confident. But in this instance, I didn't fail. And I got more confident, and then I loved it. I loved people, and I loved it. So I stayed there for 10 years, and then I noticed.
And this was at Vickers.
Vickers and Company. It's a small independent. They got bought out by a big firm recently.
Yeah.
And I'm still friends with the guys, but I left. They saw me from a 17-year-old to a 27-year-old. So they saw my growth coming out of spotty teenager phase to someone a little bit more youthful and mature.
So did Knight Frank tap you on the shoulder, or did you outgrow?
Well,
Vickers?
It's from both sides. I got a bit fed up because I wanted equity in a business.
Yep.
And I felt that I was driving the business forward. I saw how the internet evolved our industry a little bit and how websites, the conversations around websites, well, why do we need a website, believe it or not? Everything was done by a fax. This is going to be crazy for people, but why do we need a website? Well, we're going to get Marty from Australia and he's going to buy a property in London through our website. What are you talking about? Yeah, but if we don't do it, like Foxtons are doing it, and Foxtons are a big company, they're really growing. This is the conversations that were having in front of me, and I was earwigging. I was like listening to it. Like, well, we need it. If they're going to have one, we need one. So there was a lot of FOMO. And I saw the internet change, and then I saw the...
What's been a bigger change? That internet phase?
Yeah.
Or this social phase?
Well, you got internet 1.0, and then you got internet 2.0. So 1.0 was non-personal, 2.0 is personal. And they are...
And where do you see
changes.
3.0 coming in?
I think we're in 3.0, we just don't know it, kind of thing. And we're building 3.0. So seeing the internet change and the buyer profiles change, because I was dealing with a lady from Singapore and then a gentleman from Iraq, and they were all buying real estate in Turkey, all buying real estate in London. And then I started to see the big firms take market share, and they were tapping me on my shoulder, and other smaller firms wanted me to come in as a partner. And I made a decision in 2007, just before the financial crisis, to go to Knight Frank and work between the price points. So nearby neighbourhood, it's a neighbourhood called St John's Wood, we have a lot of high value homes, and I had the choice to work in what they called the core market. So that was between £1 and £4 million, or between £4 and £10 million, which was called the prime market. And I remember the market going like this, being really concerned. There was a lot of concern in our world that something was happening. And I got my job in November, Okay, we saw the credit crunch happen November, and then January, February, March, April, May, June, and that's how the world started to tumble. And I thought to myself, well, I want to work at the upper echelon because...
Which was then above
is
prime.
4 to 10 million. No, 4 to 10 million. I didn't make the super prime market immediately. So 4 to 10 million pounds. This is 2007 I joined. And I felt that price point, those people are more successful and they're wealthier. So if we're going to be in shtuck, right, in trouble, these people I think are going to come out a bit quicker. That's how I felt. I didn't look at any data or insight. It's just how I felt. So I went into that role. I didn't do a deal for 6 months. And for someone who's doing small value deals, it took me 10 years to do a deal over £1 million.
And your deal confidence drops because
everything
you're not...
drops. Everything. You get a bit nervous and you start thinking, am I wearing the right underwear?
Yeah. You really wig out, don't you?
No, you ask yourself, hey, should I wear a different coloured tie? You ask yourself very strange questions.
How did you overcome that moment?
Sports.
I
played football, so if you have high endeavour, like you really want to go for stuff, you get fouled, you get kicked, you miss a penalty, you don't make a great pass, you have to get over it. You know, the rest of the team and the opponents don't care how you feel. So you got to deal with it yourself. So I got into the groove, and after 6 months, I started to do deals, and I was doing more deals than anyone else. And
in that £1 to £4 million bracket?
No, £4 to £10 million bracket. I even had competitors asking me, how am I doing it?
How were you doing it?
People underestimated me, which
Why?
is the best thing ever.
So were they underestimating you because you weren't coming from that sort of blue blood lineage, or was it that you weren't coming out of a bigger firm because you did come from...
No, I came from a small business. Highest transaction I did was £1.2 million in 10 years.
Because I've been underestimated my whole career.
It's the best place to be. You don't want to be overestimated, I can tell you.
Absolutely.
It's hard work.
So how did you... Because you'd still be underestimated today, even though... has that changed?
No,
is it
hard.
now overestimated?
Today my life is more difficult today, for sure. For sure, because people's expectations of me are much higher. So I have certain clients that will push for more aggressive pricing during negotiations because they know I'm not going to lose the buyer.
And that's because of the rapport that they know that you've probably built.
It's because they believe in my level of talent, execution.
And in London, you can represent both sides of the deal, the buyer and the vendor?
So it's in London, the system's broken, so we're all trying to figure it out, okay? All the estate agents around the world in their own markets, they're all trying to figure out what the next opportunity is, right?
Because in America, they're getting paid on both sides, and it's illegal for us.
So this is it. Like, if we want our world to flow really smoothly, we all should be working in the same format, okay? You can't really do that in independent brokerages. Okay, because everyone's got a different way. You run your business a different way to the way we run our business. But fundamentally, I just think it's going to become even more personal. In the US, they just had some ruling where previously, what would happen is if you go to appoint an agent in the US, you give them 5 or 6%, and out of that 5 or 6%, they have half of it that they can give to any agent or broker that delivers a buyer, okay? And what they're saying is, well, the owner doesn't have an ability to negotiate the fees with the other party, right? Because it's a full chunk that they just have to commit to. And so the NAR ruling is, no, a buyer now has to pay the fee, okay?
And that's how it works in Australia.
So the seller pays the fee to the agent that's representing them, and if a buyer comes and they want representation, they have to pay a fee to the buying agent. Okay, now that is how it works in the UK now. But we've got this scenario that we're coming out of, which is the seller's agent gets paid 2% on average. Yeah. And out of that, 0.5% is given to the agent that delivers a buyer.
Within the agency or even an outside?
Outside.
Got you.
Now, what has been happening for the past 2 decades is that the businesses have worked so hard on market share and branding and offices and stuff like that, they've said, no, we're not sharing any fees, right? Which doesn't work in favor of the seller.
I think that's wrong.
Yeah, it's totally wrong, right?
It's totally wrong.
I can give you an explanation.
Because it should be about marketing and branding to get the listing, which is why I've always said listing is king. If you know how to list and your business knows how to bring in the listings, you've got a business. However, in Australia, there is a huge rise of the buyer representative, the buyer's agent. You've got thousands and thousands and thousands of independents. It's very low barrier to entry. You don't have to have an office. There's very little overhead. And they're charging buyers 2% to go out and purchase properties against agents that have a different set of outgoings. And I'm seeing that the buyer representation market just going through the roof.
And it will do. And it will keep going.
Absolutely.
Because a buyer should have representation when they're buying the most expensive asset of their life.
100%.
Also, there's costs associated with that acquisition. If you get it wrong, then you can't come out of it and then buy again. So you should have someone advising you.
And how crazy is this in Melbourne? Melbourne sells more real estate via public auction than any other city on the planet. So you've got just regular people walking up and throwing their hands up and buying things just willy-nilly. Sometimes they just rock up on the day and spend millions and millions of dollars, and they don't really know what they're doing because they don't do it often enough, and they're up against, particularly if it doesn't sell under the hammer and it gets passed in, you've got 3-4 agents standing there with somebody just sitting on a chair, owners upstairs. Well, they're not going to win the
owner has very little risk and the buyer has lots of risk.
So much risk.
So that's not really the way that I would want to approach things if I was a buyer.
Correct.
And the funny thing is that in every industry that you could ever tap into through your clients, they will always know more information than us, right? So I wouldn't go and buy a car without someone telling me, listen, Daniel, this is what you should be looking for. This is what I call another agent.
If you're looking to buy a Porsche, come to me. So I know back to front.
Okay, fine. But like, that's where trust equity sits. You understand that, and that's why you'll probably put it out over your social channels. I'll know that you love Porsches, and so I'll speak to you about it. Say, hey, listen, what should I be doing here? Rather than just aimlessly scrolling through the internet and buying a property. I think that's crazy. So our industry's changed here, whereby this is a fascinating thing, and I hope this doesn't happen in Australia, because I'll totally kill the business model now. A lot of agencies out there will talk about their market share.
So that you know, we never do. We're not a market share business.
You mustn't.
We never have been.
Fine.
We're a market presence. We want people to know who we are.
Okay, that's great. I love that. I'm going to take that away.
And if they want to come to us, they get a particular level of marketing, and they get a particular level of person that works within White Fox. The moment we interview someone, they say, what's your market share? I say, door's over there. So
do you know why, though?
I think market share... I'd love to know what you say.
What I'm going to say? Yeah. Okay, fine. So market share is really interesting, because we started this business from my kitchen table, and we go toe-to-toe with the big firms here. We're number 4 now in the UK. We did it in 3.5 years, okay, in terms of how many properties we're marketing, over £5 million. And we're very proud about that, because it's the trust that clients give us.
But it's a huge achievement, particularly in London being, I believe, the centre of universal property. I mean, This is the best properties I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is an amazing city, and I remind the guys of that every day. But we'll go into a presentation, we'll speak to a client, and I'll often say to the client, have you seen anyone else? And they'll say, yeah. And I'll say, well, who have you seen? So they'll tell me, and I'll say, any discussion around market share or anything like that, like what's the value add proposal? And they'll say, yeah, market share. I say, well, what have they got? So they say 20%. And I'll be like, wow, they have 20% market share. That's impressive, isn't it? And the client goes, yes. And I'll say, but it isn't. And they'll say, why? And they'll say, well, if an agent is telling you that their business has 20% market share, what they're actually telling you is that they don't have 80%. And so if your agent isn't going to work in collaboration with all the other agents, you're only going to get 20%. And that goes totally against 2 things that you want to achieve. Any seller and buyer or landlord and tenant want to achieve the following things. The most efficient transaction, so as quickly as possible, with the best terms possible. And if the agent is interested in market share, they're not interested in working with everyone else. So that's going to go against both of these things that are very important to you. Because the only way you're going to create efficiencies is if you work with the whole market. Right? So now you need an agent who has a good reputation with the other professionals around them.
And what you're doing is you're planting. It's like being a lawyer.
Yeah.
And the best lawyer knows how to get their client off and free by planting that seed of doubt so that the jury can't all land on a unanimous decision. Mm-hmm. And by you planting that seed of doubt in that seller's mind, they question what they've been saying, which is key, because at the end of the day, when people in Australia say to us, you don't have market share, I then say, okay, why are you so focused on market share? Mm-hmm. And they go, database. They all talk about database. But my thing on database has always been, the database are the portals, particularly in Australia. There's a duopoly, there's realestate.com and there's Domain.
Yep.
The buyers all go online.
Yep.
So we're experts in making sure that your asset actually stands out online through marketing.
Yep.
Then the buyers chase property. The buyers don't chase agents. And that then flips their market share question to me a lot, because it comes down to the marketing. If you can stand out and if you can collaborate, that's the key. And these older businesses struggle to do that because they're so ingrained and indoctrinated into the way that it's been, that to turn those big ships, it takes so long to retrain thousands of people.
100%. But you've got the same thing here. You've got big companies that talk about their database. The thing about the database is as follows, is that you can only send one email out. We've got something here called GDPR. Do you know what that is? General Data Protection Regulation.
No, so what happens? Tell me about that.
So what it means is that if I continue to spam you with emails and you hit unsubscribe, it is illegal for me to contact you again. So what that means is that estate agents cannot constantly send your property to people, right? They can only send it once, pretty much, or twice. But otherwise, they run the risk of being unsubscribed, and then they can never speak to that client ever again.
Can your team here log into a system and get the phone numbers of all the people that own the property?
No, I'll come back to you on how we meet our clients. The thing about this database is that if the databases were so successful, why would any of these big firms have to advertise their properties?
Correct.
Okay, so it defeats the whole point.
And they normally have the biggest marketing spends. So you go into these other traditional agencies and the client says, their advertising campaign's 35,000. And we're half that, but they're using print. And I say the same thing. If they've got market share and they've got the database, then why is your advertising budget double mine for print media? It's always fascinated me. You and I have
they're covering overheads.
Oh, 100%.
They're just covering overheads. There is the thing about real estate, which we have to appreciate, particularly here in the UK, less so in Australia, because you guys do a lot of learning. Okay, here anyone could be a real estate agent.
How long's the course here?
There is no course.
You're joking?
No. I've been doing this for 26 years. I've had probably 10 days worth of training, right? So you've got a lot of people that can enter the market.
I've seen a lot of Australian trainers over here a lot.
Yeah, because there's a lack of training here, which is why we built our academy.
Okay.
And so, look, I have a belief or a vision as to where I think our industry is going. And I think that a lot of people are being KPI'd out of their jobs. So when you work in a big organization, I'm very concerned for the estate agents that are KPI'd. Because what I think will happen is, if you end up KPIing, do you know what KPI is, by the way? Yeah, okay. So for people who don't know, KPIs is key performance indicators. How many phone calls have you made? How many emails have you made? How many viewings has that created? How many offers have you had? And how many deals do you do, right?
We don't do that within our business.
Okay. So I'm concerned, because big businesses do.
Oh, they love it. They want to know calls and connects.
Yeah.
How many appraisals.
So I get that, but I'm a bit concerned about it, because with machine learning, and the growth of LLMs, so large language models, anything that you can KPI, the machines can do. All right, so send out emails, machines can do. Make phone calls, machines can do. Arrange viewings, machines can do. Send out particulars of sale or put together marketing material, machines can do. So I think that big businesses are gradually KPIing people out of their jobs. Mm-hmm. And I think there needs to be some studying around the soft skills, because they tend to be hard skills that we taken. Mm-hmm. Soft skills and, mindset, social training, personal branding, all that sort of stuff. And that's what our academy does to support our agents, because we're building the technology. Mm-hmm. It's fascinating, because in our industry,
it's almost like we need to know how to teach chutzpah, how to teach the ability to just connect and talk and find opportunity.
It's soft skills.
Yeah.
It's soft skills and remaining curious. Like, we've built this business in 4 years now, and we have 40 people here. Our average transaction was about £17 million. It's probably closer to 9 now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because more people.
Obviously more people.
Yeah, more people, a little bit dilution. And we're up against the big guys and we're winning. And we're winning a lot. Mm. And it's not because we're going to go around saying we're better, but we are definitely different. And in a world of total change and homogeny, right? So you have a lot of people that are all the same. Mm-hmm. So that's homogenous. A lot of people are disconcerted with the service that agents offer and how they go about doing it. People then look down on social channels because they didn't understand the importance and relevance. Now the importance and relevance goes up. So you find yourself in a place where you're an outlier in a homogenous state, but you're doing something that everyone knows is really important now. And so you're in that real niche spot where people go, yeah, this is a differentiator. If I want a different result to everyone else, we have to go somewhere else. And just being different is important. But our industry here in the UK has got a bit of a problem because the client base doesn't respect the professionals because there's no education, right? So there's no pride. And it means that when you meet clients, they often think they know better than you.
Yeah, because it's been a low barrier to entry.
Exactly.
I've always thought that if you're representing somebody's most expensive asset, you need to be well versed in psychology, economics, accounting. You need to understand all those things.
And people.
But that takes years and years of learning.
100%.
So why have I gone to university for 4 years to leave with my degree when I actually think that the degree for real estate needs to be something that's imposed? It's gotten a lot harder in Australia in the last 12 months, where it does take months and months and months of work. I mean, I haven't done it, but my team have gone through that process. And
so is there licensing in Australia?
It's now licensed.
Good, because there's no licensing here.
Yeah.
So you're running around.
Really should be.
Yeah, I mean, there should be. I think there's a lot of work that we need to do here from a barrier to entry point, but also efficiencies for the client to achieve the best service. Yeah.
So tell me, you're at Knight Frank, and then you go, you've had enough, or you've been ousted, or you've done too much loud video content. Talk me through the process of DDRE Global.
So let me explain. So at KF, they're amazing business. They've got a bit of presence in Australia.
Knight Frank?
Yeah.
Well, Knight Frank has they've just recently bought out McGrath.
Okay.
So McGrath had maybe 100 odd offices. So they've teamed up with Bailey's, which is a New Zealand-based business.
Fine. I think they did that ages ago.
Yeah.
So I got.
Well, it just got marketed about 2 months ago.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, maybe they switched allegiances. Everyone's trying to find another brand that works better with them, but works on a different CRM, and it's complicated. I did really well between £4 to £10 million, and I did something that I should.
We really segued, didn't we?
Pardon?
We're now coming back to.
Yeah. It's quite funny. I did something that I probably shouldn't have done, which is that I got engaged on a property that was over £10 million, and I ended up selling it. And the bosses didn't really like it, but I proved that I can do super prime, which is transactions over £10 million. And I love the fact that people underestimated me then, right? I was a bit younger, I was youthful, but people didn't know I had 10 years worth of experience in my pocket, right? So they thought I was just some young guy who was flying around town working really hard and had good manners. I knew a lot more than people thought I knew.
How important was your manners?
Manners is vitally important. My mum was bang on right when she said, don't drag your feet, walk with your head up high, walk on the right side of the road when you're with a lady, all that sort of stuff. Extremely valuable. So I worked there, I did really well, broke into the £10 million market, did really well, did a lot of deals, a lot of business. I made it a point to meet everybody and save their contacts in my phone. So I've got over 20,000 people in my phone now. And I went around obviously trying to sell stuff, but I went to build what I call trust equity with people, which is I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to do my very best, and I'm going to be responsive, and I'm going to onboard you as a potential client for 5 years' time. I might not sell you something today, but on average, people move every 7 years. And so what I want to do is I want to secure my future by being great today. Yeah? So if I met a client and they showed a property, I showed that property exceptionally well. I engaged with them, full of personality, showed them the property well, and they would remember me. And in the future, when they wanted a service, they would come to me.
Yeah.
Right? So I was building brand. I didn't do it digitally, I did it in person.
Did you follow that person up a lot, or did you just give that meeting in that moment 100% of your commitment?
100% of your commitment at the time. We didn't have it was very difficult to stay in touch with people at the time. The technology wasn't there and social wasn't there. So my form of touching people, as I call it, was meeting them in the high street or just being in their peripheral vision.
Yeah.
He's around. He's not a stranger. He's here. He's Mr. Consistent. Market's going down. He's still there. He didn't leave to go paddle boarding in wherever. He's here. He's grinding.
Yeah.
Maximum respect. He's in the window. People have been on my journey for 25 years.
Yeah. I took a very similar angle where I just wanted to be extremely memorable for them.
Yeah.
Give it full enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Know my shit back to front. If they asked me a question on any property, I didn't say I'll come back to you. I actually knew the information. And very similar. Years down the track, you'd get a call and you'd think,
how did that happen?
Oh my God, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I met you at that place and you think,
yeah.
I was on that day, but I was always on.
No, you're always on.
Always on.
If you're committed, you're always on.
And you ride the market because that actually makes you a better agent, better professional.
Yeah, of course it does.
Because then you can reflect back in a down market. You should be buying now because we're coming back up. In a hot market, don't overpay. It's going to come back down. Understanding how to advise these clients and not just be a...
Well, you can do it from experience now.
Correct.
So you can sit there with confidence and say, listen, I was here at this point, I was here at that point. That's where experience comes into play. Inexperience is also a superpower, right? Because what happens with inexperience is we may know that this is a dead lead. Out of 100, we might go 20 are dead leads. Mm-hmm. But the inexperienced person is going to run those down.
100%.
And they'll do a couple of deals where you wouldn't, and you'll be like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And you totally misjudged the scenario, right? So actually, inexperience works in favor sometimes.
That's why the office has to be balanced. You've got to have a couple down that are new.
Younger, newbies, full of enthusiasm. So I did that. I sold a lot of very expensive homes. We realized that there were people traveling from different neighborhoods. Okay, post 2007, there was a lack of development here. There were a lack of people that were developing homes. And so buyers wanted turnkey product. They had to go into different neighborhoods. Gotcha. Because you have this office approach in different neighborhoods and people stay within them, what happens is buyers don't migrate with the person from your company. They'll find an agent who is looser, i.e. can go to multiple neighborhoods, and that agent will take them and end up doing a deal on one of your properties. So we set up what we called the Super Prime team, which turned into the private office. I was very collaborative with my colleagues and wanted to help. So they invited me into it. I ended up running it after 6 months. And I nicknamed myself Mr. Super Prime because I took a role in overseas markets. So I was the US ambassador for Knight Frank. Mm-hmm. And I bounced around the world helping US agents and other agents around the world sort of communicate with us and refer buyers and so on and so on. And I saw the importance of social media very early, about 10 years ago. And I just built my brand online, and it enabled me to stay in touch with people. And
so smart to own that Mr. Super Prime space.
Well, I called myself the market, didn't I?
Absolutely.
Like, if you can do that, do it.
So smart.
Oh, yeah. Smart, but I got a lot of grief.
From Knight Frank?
From everyone.
Yeah, because they wanted to be Super Prime. You called yourself the market that they were trading in. Yeah. And it's a stroke of genius.
Well, everyone's got a chance to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, someone else could have done it.
And then tell me the moment when DDRE Global was that always in your vision to run your own firm, or could have you just continued to climb the ranks of those big?
No, I wanted to implement a vision that I have around our industry, and I'm going for it. Now I have the ability to do it myself. We set up the business in March 2020.
Do you have the ability to do it yourself because of your profile? Is it financial? Is it backing? Is it TV? Why now? When you said that you've got the ability to do it now.
So what happens is experience, will teach you where opportunity lies. Okay, inexperience doesn't teach you that. So when people go, I want to work smart, I'll say, well, you don't know what smart work is. So first work hard, figure out what smart work is, and then work smart. And in my life, I have had to learn the industry where people don't really trust you as much, that you have the knowledge and a good brain to do it, because I didn't go to university and I come from blue chip, background. So people have to see that you have the capabilities. And after 15 to 20 years, people now have faith that the decisions that you've made that put you in the place you are today is because you've made positive decisions, good decisions about your life. And so I've got to a point where my experience has met full-blown opportunity. And the only thing that's standing in the way of success is effort. It's not money. I saved my money. I was clever with my money, so I was able to invest it in the business. We were profitable from day one. And now we have a very successful business that we're going to grow and do the best we possibly can if our clients want to do business with us. And that's it. We will grow with our clients. Yeah, so now we have more business than we could have ever hoped.
And I've seen now you're not just based in the UK. You're doing deals in Spain. You're doing deals all over the place.
We did $150 million worth of deals, like US dollars worth of deals across the globe last year.
And that's because of that super prime clientele. They live in multiple parts of the world.
That, but you have a social following. Your social following is all over the world. If they see that you travel and you go to different places, they may ask for a recommendation because you're exploring and your clients want to explore with people like you. And I've spent a lot of time in Dubai and Israel and the US. And often when I'm there, I'll document my days and I'll go and see amazing properties, and clients will go, well, I really trust Daniel. I like him. He's a good guy. He's an Arsenal fan, or whatever it may be.
So how do you transact in those different regions with licensing? How does that work?
So we have a digital office in Dubai, and we have partners in other parts of the world that we'll transact through. Every business is a global business. Every business. Your business online, you're global. Before the internet, you weren't. But now you are global.
And you find ways in which to transact within those parameters legally in different regions?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The thing that I would like drop a cherry in this conversation is that
there's been a lot of cherries.
Thanks. Bowl full of cherries. First thing in the morning. This is what I find really fascinating, is our world is going into like micro investing. So here's a building, you can buy a share in that building, yeah, and you can tokenize that building. Well, when all of a sudden the friction of buying real estate goes, like, I need $1 million Aussie dollars to buy a studio flat in London, and you wipe that to one side and go, no, you can put 10,000 Aussie dollars into the purchase of a piece of real estate in London. What happens is the whole world becomes a customer.
So then how does that work if you've got such a small share in that token of that property?
It will kick off a yield, 10% yield, yeah, and you'll get a benefit of that yield.
Any physical use of that building?
No, because you're only getting a small percentage.
Yeah, so it's really looking at...
It's investment play.
It's looking at properties like stocks.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's exactly where it's going. It will happen with trainers or sneakers. It will happen with every asset class that you could ever imagine. But with real estate, it will kick off a yield.
Okay.
And then you'll put your money in that, and
where will
trade out.
Where will the epicenter of this be? London? Will London kick this off?
It'll be everywhere.
Everywhere.
It'll be everywhere. You're seeing global investment from like the super rich or the rich, yeah, or the wealthy. It will be for everybody.
Everybody.
And I find that it's like now.
Well,
it's got retail traders.
Exactly.
Well, you've got retail trading now. You've got people who are buying stocks and shares online from their mobile phone all over the world. If you're wondering why the FTSE 500 went up or the S&P 500 went up so aggressively, there's so much investment, so much new money. It's not just the traditionalists now, it's me and you.
People sitting on their phones on the couch.
Yeah. So
no stockbroker in sight.
So there's a lot of change. You know, where does the agent sit in that world? Why is your personal brand so important? Where does influence sit now? You know, I reckon soon I'll be able to stand outside a building and say, hey, I've put £1 million deposit down on this building. It's going to kick off a 15% return. Invest with me, double click here, and bang, off you go. And they'll do that through the ADVSR platform.
And your personal brand will create that property fund that you can continue to...
Trust
equity.
My trust equity.
Trust equity.
I'm here. I'm Mr. Consistent. I know what I'm doing. I love what I do. And this is me and my business. And so I'm putting my balls on the table, come with me.
I love it.
Rather than let's sit behind an organisation.
I love it.
Right?
So many people stop me. My wife and I have done 15 flips now, and they go, I'd love to be involved. And we've always said,
sure,
but we've always said no, because it's always just been us two. But why not say sure? And totally change the dynamic of that flip.
Yeah. Well, you just
bring them on the journey, lower the risk profile for us, but also bring them in, and it also changes the types of properties that we may be looking at.
Well, I could crowdfund my business over social channels, right? Just think about that. I could go out into the world over my social channels, and I could say, hey guys, would you like to be part of DDRE Global and own a small share in it? Double click here and invest at least £100. We could probably raise £10 million pretty quickly. And now you might not be able to afford to play in the super prime markets. I'm not buying £10 million homes. But you can have a little bit of a business that does. And by the way, do you think all those people that invest would send all their friends to us to buy and sell real estate? I think they would. Do you think they would sell their properties through us? I think they would. Because they'd want to support a business that they're invested in.
Because you're now in... By doing this, you're then bringing your brand and your profile into their private conversations. And that's what the networking is all about. It's actually taking something social and actually making it social. It's turning social media...
It's community. You actually create your own community, right? And you add value. And that's where this is all going.
We see big brands like Nike. Their focus is on building these communities in hyperlocal areas to get their product out.
Well, we're doing that too, right? Stina upstairs is an avid runner. She's amazing. She's like, I love running. I said, okay, set up the DDRE Run Club. Let's go. We've got a Spotify account for music. You can have the Run Music Spotify account whilst you run with everybody. We could put our podcast on there. There's loads of things that
it's pretty amazing.
There's loads of things that we're doing and people don't really know.
I love it.
And the technology that we're building, and like I'm going for it. I'm 100% committed.
And when you say the technology that you're building, is this technology that's going to be available worldwide or only for DDRE clients and staff?
To make our business, the way I look at this is that to make our business sticky and to enable our people, we have to build technology and solutions that enables them to be more successful. The days of just having people working at your platform for the sake of working at your platform because you've got a nice brand, I don't think they last that long. I think you actually, as a business owner, have to add value now to the agent or advisor, we call them. And so that's something that I'm hell-bent on. So I look at the frustrations that I've got in my life when it comes to work, not personal. And I say to myself, okay, well, can I build technology to enable me to be more efficient? And if I can do that for myself, then I can utilize it for other people in the business and it will help them. They might not know it now, but I know it now. And so I'll do that. So that's what we're looking to do. And then the ADVSR platform is very, very, very powerful because it enables the independents to all be global.
Independence.
Like your business, you're an independent business. It enables you as an independent business owner to connect with all the other independent business owners around the world from a digital perspective. So now you can become a global real estate agent with a network all overseas. So when you go and pitch, you can say, no, we're going to get your properties visibility all over the world by other expert professionals in other capital cities.
And that's a subscription-based business model?
Yeah. Why do you all need to be under the same brand when you're overseas? You don't. But our clients would buy real estate where you guys are. And your clients will buy real estate where we are. So why not have a really efficient technological tool that enables us to communicate with one another and have a proof point of our connectivity? Because everyone does the whole fluffy, we have offices all over the world. And you go, okay, great. Please tell me that the person in Dubai or Sydney knows about your property in London because of your brand. Go. Let's call the office up. Hey, bring. No, it actually goes bring first and then hey. So bring. Hi, I'm selling my house on Avenue Road. Could you help me at all? Sorry, where's Avenue Road? Okay, thanks. Okay, so that doesn't work, right? But if I can prove to you technologically with data that your property is getting exposure in London, makes your brand much stronger and your business much stronger. So that's why we built ADVSR, because I don't want to have a DDRE all over the world. but I do want to have it in certain parts of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want DDRE in the markets that you know that you and your team can penetrate.
Yeah.
But then you want for your clients to have exposure
Yeah.
to the relevant markets worldwide without you having to penetrate
Yeah.
with DDRE.
I don't need the overheads.
Yeah.
I can just have a technological agreement with you, with Marty, at his business, and we would benefit, and we would see the data insight between both of us, and any referrals, there is an agreement, and that's it. I don't need 1% of your turnover to be part of DDRE Global. Give me 1% of your turnover and $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year for your brand. I don't need that. I can just create global connectivity and enable all the great agents around the world to do business with one another.
And who's driving the growth of that business?
We're going into it now. We've been building it for 3 years. Elliot, who was the ex-head of digital for Knight Frank and a couple of other firms beforehand, has built it with my vision.
And it's soft launched already?
Yep.
And when's the full launch?
Well, you can use it now.
Okay.
You can use it now, and we're just scaling it quietly in the background. Mm-hmm. And people are starting to realize the power that it has, because now Marty's business, from a very small cost, is very much global. And then people start to realize, what's the point of having franchises? What's the point? I can connect you globally with all the top agents.
So Mr. Super Prime,
Yeah.
and also Mr. Franchise Killer.
No, we don't want to kill franchise. We want to find a different solution for the independent.
What if the franchise wants to be part of it?
They can.
They can.
Go for it. But the point about franchises, global franchises, is it says you can leverage off our brand, okay? But the best people that I know have reasons that we can't explain why they would stay where they are, right? And they don't want to be a big branded name. It might be Virgil and Co. in Mallorca, okay? And Virgil and Co. was set up by Virgil, and it's a family business, and they dominate that market. They don't want to let go of the Virgil brand, because the Virgil brand's a great brand, and they don't want to be Virgil X. They just want to be their brand. So why don't we just go, okay, we'd love to partner with you. Let's do it technologically. Right? People don't want to give away their businesses. I don't want to go to them and say, right, I'll give you my brand and you can give me $100,000 a year and 2% of your turnover, 10% of your turnover. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that. You can just run a subscription model between both of us. You can see the data insight of how many clicks your clients' properties are getting on our website. You get a report. Happy days. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Right? That's the whole point. It's enabling people. This is the thing that I'm really fascinated by. I wish people enabled me more. And I've been in places where they have, and then you outgrow them. And now it's a place where people need to...
So you've enabled yourself more than anyone?
No, I think the environments I put myself in have enabled me, but I got to points in those environments where I was not enabled enough for what the vision I carried was.
Do you get nervous? Do you put yourself in those situations and get that nervous energy?
Yeah, but I'm addicted to that now. I found that...
Because that's where the growth is.
Yeah, I found that being nervous is a sign of growth. And over the years, I did live TV recently. That was nerve-wracking. Never done that before.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never done that before.
That's all I've been doing for the last...
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, but now you've got it easy, right? Now you know, and you get comfort. Yeah, you get comfortable with everything. That's what life's all about.
Talking about TV,
Yeah.
I see this box behind you.
Yeah.
What's in that box?
There's a little beautiful thing that Netflix gave me to thank us for our involvement in buying London.
How did this come about?
You put it in the atmosphere. What you do is you manifest it and you put it in the world, and the world speaks back to you. That's what has happened. No, it was inevitable. There's all these real estate shows all over the world. The one in Australia I really like.
With my mate Gavin.
Yeah, Gavin and Simon.
Great people.
Right, like I love the bands they have, and they were brave and massive amount of respect. You're brave, massive amount of respect to you. Frederick, Ryan, Josh, Tracy, all those guys that did TV in the US, they're friends of mine because of my exposure previously. And I love what they did. I think it's amazing. It created a new dynamism in our marketplace. They're really brave. They weren't already very successful, so they did benefit from that growth. I think I've put my balls on the line because I've become very successful in theory by an outsider would look at me and go, oh yeah, he's super successful. I don't see it, but they do. And I put my balls in line and go, yeah, now I'm going to go on TV. Like, it's a bit crazy.
Yeah. Well, because it can come unstuck.
It can work against you. Of course it can.
Particularly with a company like Netflix, where you're putting all of that creative control in their hands.
But they would be foolish to kneecap me, right?
Totally.
Because if they kneecapped me, they'll never have this format that they've got that is really successful anywhere else in the world. Because they'll go, well, Daniel Daggers was successful and you kneecapped him, so why would I do it? Right? And then they'll never be able to get a show here again, and they won't do it. So, like, you have to. Sometimes there's risk. Okay.
And the payoff?
Payoff's been amazing.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, showcased London so beautifully as well.
Well, I've had some very interesting meetings with people that I can't talk about online. But
are you sure?
But yeah, I'm sure.
Exclusive?
No, I'm super sure. And it's probably one of the greatest advertising tools that London has ever seen. So that's great because I love my city. And it's built a brand now globally for us. So we're not a stranger anymore. And when I'm spending time in expensive places with wealthy people that don't know me, they now often know me. And I don't have to tell anyone who I am or what my track record is or anything like that. I'm just a person that they'd like to say hello to.
So the expectations on you is a lot higher now, like you said.
Yeah.
However, your ability to connect and open up other doors has obviously balanced a lot of other things out. So in terms of where you are now professionally, you've got all these amazing things happening. You're a maverick of the industry. You're bringing in new technologies. You're changing the way that people look at advisory. Where do you see yourself over the next sort of 2 to 3 years, the short to medium term?
The way people look at me is very difficult to the way I look at myself. Okay? I'm working hard. I'm working every day, and I'm working hard to do things that have never been done before. Where do I see what we're doing in 2 or 3 years' time? I don't know. And I'm very comfortable with that.
Because you're open to whatever is coming.
I'm very curious. Very curious. Look, amazing things are happening to me because I'm working hard, right? So I just met someone who's a very senior guy in the tech world, massive tech fund, and we're having open conversations about where our world sits. I could never have envisaged that 10 years ago. So putting myself in 2, 3 years' time or 10 years' time, I don't know where I'm going to be. I said to the guys in the office, we have weekly meetings, I said to them, who here, bearing in mind, I didn't know that I was going to be here today. I didn't know where the world was going to take me because the world is now full of opportunity, right? When you can speak to the world, crazy things can happen. When you were 7, did you think that you were going to be live on TV?
No.
Okay, so that's really difficult to envisage. In our world, which is constantly changing, and we have the ability to speak to people globally, anything can happen. So I said to everyone upstairs, I love Avengers. I love the movies. I love Avengers movies. Who here thinks that I will not be part of an Avengers movie in my future? So put your hand up. 2 people out of 35 people put their hand up. Because in a world and in an environment where every day is an opportunity and people do special things on a regular, you just don't know, do you? And so people upstairs, they won't back against me. Let me put it that way. They won't back against me doing things that we never thought we'd be able to do. Do I think the industry is going to go through a massive wobble? Yeah, 100% as technology comes in. Like, assistants here are no longer just assistants, they're content creators for the really successful agents that we have here. So
they have to upskill so that they're not KPI'd out of the game.
Yeah, or there's forms of evolution. An assistant would use technology to send out emails, write drafts, do all these sort of stuff. Our technology does that for them. Okay, great. So what happens now? Does that role evaporate? No. The value of that role changes. Right? So if you're not curious and flexible, you'll get KPI'd out of your role. And that's what I'm really nervous about. Like, really, really nervous about. For other people, we're going to play into the future.
Well, you like being nervous. You like this new landscape because it's going to create opportunities, because you're going to be able to think and implement systems and ways of doing business that you can actually leverage
Yeah.
this wobble.
Yeah.
So look, I'm excited to see what you do. I'm certainly on the journey. It's
And I love watching you, by the way.
thank you.
I love watching like the growth of your business, what you do. You're super engaging. Love the content. It's wicked. I love seeing like young brands go for it. It's amazing.
It's been amazing. I've enjoyed the journey. Like yourself, opportunities open up, and you just got to run with them. You grab the ball and you run,
100%.
and you have fun.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. Daniel Daggers, DDRE Global, superstar on Netflix. It's been incredible being
It's crazy.
in your office. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And just want to thank you for inviting us all in here.
It's an absolute
And
pleasure.
to finally see you in the flesh after many years of being a fan behind the scenes.
Legend. Appreciate it, my friend.
Unbelievable. And you can listen to this on all major platforms with the Fox, and look forward to the next one.
What a legend.
How good.
Love that.